Broadcasting live to you and yours. It's your boy, Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool, and welcome to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. This is episode number 87. I am joined along with my two co-hosts once again. I got Mr. Matt Bliss, aka the Educator in the house, Dead Drop Pod, and all that good stuff. How you doing, Matt?
All the things. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. And of course, my main man, the F man, OVG RView Gaming himself, Finest Dabs.
I love you guys, but all I want to do is play video games right now. But I'm gonna stay.
Fair.
I'm gonna stay here. I'm not leaving.
Same.
It's-
Same.
It hurts that
Same,
we're all in
same,
close
same.
proximity to all the gaming things. We
Yeah.
have to look at them while we talk about video games. It's
Torture. It is.
tempting.
All right. Just a reminder, listeners and viewers, that the Game and Watch podcast is a OVG or RV Gaming production. We are on a Patreon, so definitely donate to us if you want to. For your listening pleasure, we are on all listening platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it, we are there. And then for your viewing pleasure, we are on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Live, and Twitter. So definitely check us all out. If you want to email us for any reason, gamingwatchpodcast at gmail.com. And then any links to the stories that we talk about today, along with where you want to follow us on a personal level, will be in the show notes. So with all that
I
out of
love
the
being
way,
followed on a personal level. I
hey,
I love getting personal with you guys. I don't know. It's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to your podcast on my commutes to work. So you always talk about some of the most interesting stuff and what very well produced.
Yeah, I follow every word you say.
That audio listeners, take that for what it was. It was a genuine speaking to the quality of my podcast. Please listen. The Dead Drop podcast for video game news every week for all the news stories that you need to know. And I love you.
Aww.
He is your interpreter.
Not
of
you,
the
Finest.
news.
I don't like you
You
anymore.
meant the audience. Oh, okay.
Well, he is your interpreter of playable material. I think I got it right. Sort of.
To be honest, I've just come off recording today's episode, and I immediately forgot exactly what the assembly of those words are.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, usually I have a post-it in front of me when I say it, but I didn't have it in front of me right now, so that's why it's like, today you're the educator. Next week,
I'm the educator.
next
And
week,
hopefully I will be bringing the Teaching Culture Cast back as well, which, would be really good because it's been on a hiatus for a very long time, just because I haven't had the time to dedicate to building the podcast properly. So if there are teachers listening who enjoy video games as well, Teaching Culture Cast. Sorry, this has become about advertising my podcast. I don't know how that happened.
It's okay. Drop it while it's hot.
Dead drop it. Yeah, I agree.
dead drop it. Yeah,
Yeah.
dead drop it while it's hot. All right, so how's it going, folks? What are we playing? You want me to kick it off, or F,
Yeah,
you
you
want to
already
kick it off?
started. No, you take it
All right,
away.
I'll kick it off. WWE 2K22, and this time for you viewing, for anyone watching, I have some footage that I recorded of me facing, and Finest called it, Yokozuna, if you want to pull it up. But yeah, I've been playing this for a great while now. Some new DLC is about to drop, Cactus Jack and a bunch of other wrestlers. So with that being said, yeah, it's just a very good game, very well done. And oh yes, here are some of the footage right here. So might want to fast forward that if you can, but if not, then it's all good. Yeah, there we go. Well, little more, because I was trying to look for. Yeah, there we go. So
Amazing color commentary for tracking through a YouTube video for our audio
Yeah, a
listeners.
little bit more back and forth. No, back up, but right there. Yep.
Just 2.5
that's right.
seconds. Just a little bit.
That's supposed to be me. Does that look like me, guys?
I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. I can see it.
Yeah, I see a little bit. I mean,
got the
there's
hoodie,
some
right?
muscles. Yeah, there's some muscles on that guy, but
Shots fired.
Now that looks like Yokozuna. Oh man. Wow. Those graphics ain't half bad. Okay.
We'll have to
Hopefully,
see
yeah.
how reaction videos translate to audio as well. We're not really talking about much.
Yeah.
Should implore audio listeners to check out the
Well,
YouTube.
I mean, you could always narrate it. Yeah, if you're audio listener, definitely check out the YouTube. But I mean, Yokozuna is currently walking into the ring, fully robed up
Fully
in
rolled.
in a checkered black and white robe, just mad dogging people. Just man, let's go ahead and fast forward where Too Tall has a custom created character that that who was already walked into the ring. And yeah, they're getting ready to spar. They're getting ready to trade chops. They're getting ready to break brass. Let's see.
Break brass.
And there we go. Oh wait, where's Yokozuna's ass cheeks? That's not his signature outfit.
I think you're getting them confused with Rikishi.
Oh, I am. Okay. It just shows how much I know about wrestling.
I'm glad to be here. Do I beat him? Oh.
Yeah, no, we are not going to keep this matchup going, but I appreciate the footage. I mean, is there anything you want to tell us about the game before we take it off, J-Man?
Well, this particular match, I win the match, so that's all you really need to know. But I mean, in terms of the game,
Yeah.
if you're a big wrestling fan, pick it up. Just pick it up. Give it a go, as Matt would say. Give it a go. And
This is one of several weeks that you've talked about this same game, right?
Yeah. I plan on talking about a different game next week. I have it right here. Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
It's meant to be a very good one. I've heard it's a mouthful.
I hear it's easy, but I'm looking forward to it. Why not? Otherwise, that's really all I've been playing this week. I haven't really dipped into too much on the current gen, or even the retro side for that matter. So take it away, Matt. I know you always be playing a lot of games. So what you been up to?
I do. I'm still on my Elden Ring hiatus, kind of. So I thought I'd give. Well, look, it's a game that's always going to be there. There's stories at the moment about how 90% of their concurrent Steam users have dropped.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, I was reading about
that's
that.
what happens with single player games.
Of course. You play it, you get really far, or you beat it, or you get your butt kicked, and then you give up. Like,
you rage quit. Give
yeah,
up. It's fine.
It's still sold crazy numbers. Like, they
And
don't
it
even have
doesn't disappear.
acronym. Yeah,
It'll be around forever. It's going to be fine. But I tried Loot River after we talked about it last week. Available on Xbox Game Pass. It's getting advertised quite a lot, and a lot of people are talking about it. And it is very much Dark Souls, Dead Cells, Tetris. Kind of. It's very unusual, but it is very much a Dark Souls game with very strong Dead Cells elements. So I don't know, Finus, it might be up your alley, considering how much time you spent with Dead Cells. But I'm finding it really hard to penetrate, to really get into, because it takes a long time to get started. It seems to have some sort of algorithm to it where you play more games and more weapons become available to you and more spells, because there's aspects of increasing your stats and being able to... It is run-based, so you acquire weapons as you play. You start with a base set, then you can get modifiers, you can get a bunch of other stuff. But in terms of how it offers you those things for each run, it seems to vary quite a lot. Like, you can have the most amazing run in the world, and then the next 10 will just be horrible. And in terms of the Dark Souls of things, usually you can acquire skills to play the game effectively that allows you to cover off for not getting adequate loot. But here, it doesn't seem to be much of the case, and it is quite janky. There's a bit of jank to this that means enemies are flying all over the place, and there's graphical artifacting happening as well. It's a very unusual one.
So it's not the good jank. It's...
Oh, look, it doesn't impact the gameplay, really. I mean, as we're seeing from the video version of the podcast here, it's footage of it being an overview kind of view. It's not isometric or anything. there's kind of 8 soft cardinal directions that you can attack in, and sometimes the relative distance between any of those directions to initiate your attack can be hard to judge. So that kind of jank sometimes populates into it. Also, the aspect of traversal in this game involves you kind of mounting platforms on the water and then moving those platforms around the environment in order to move around.
Yeah.
And there's some jank with that too. Like you can kind of push through aspects of the way those platforms should work and make it do things that the game may not have anticipated, or maybe it did. It really doesn't tutorialize much of this stuff for you. So, you know, it's a really weird one to try and get a handle on. But as with these games, there's a barrier you hit, and when you break through that barrier, the game makes sense, and you can keep playing it and playing it. But for me, it's not a do 60 hours in a row and finish this game. It's a pick it up and put it down, maybe for half an hour at a time, do a couple of runs, put it down, come back to it later on. Yeah, so that's Loot River for me. I've been diving in and out of that. I tried to kick up Satisfactory again, but that's a massive hill to climb now, so I'm not sure I'll stick with that. And I needed some chill time with Power Wash Simulator, which has had some updates recently. It's getting close to 1.0. That's right. I'm cleaning a subway right now, and it's filthy, but I'm getting there. We'll get there in the end. Yeah. It's a great chill out game.
Yeah.
Now, Finus,
good.
Yes.
we need our Horizon Forbidden West update.
We need you to play another game, man.
Well,
I'm sorry, man, but
you know, the good part. Okay, so there's a couple of things. You know, one, I finally got my flying mount. I actually got that like pretty much right after our episode last week. So I now can fly all over the map, which is absolutely awesome. I have the Sunwing. So spoilers, if you did not know, you can fly in that game. Yes, you can. I'm sure everyone already knew that, but yeah, I got that. I'm in like really the final stages. Like I got my team assembled. We have our plan, and right now we're executing our plan to essentially beat the main baddies of the game. And I think the only thing I was really doing was like, so the most annoying part of the game for me is leveling up or getting the materials in order to increase my inventory. So like increasing my pouch sizes, increasing my ammo capacity, and things of this nature. It's just so aggravating. I really haven't done it much in the game whatsoever, but I'm doing it now. And like I haven't done it the entire game. So I believe it. Justin, really? You're gonna yawning on me? You're yawning on me, man? You're muted. Stay muted. Okay. Anyway.
He done you dirty.
My bad.
He's yawning because he's commiserating with the idea of having to go to different areas and kill one deer so you can get one thing out of the 100 that you need to create a leather backpack or whatever.
That totally makes sense then, because it is a snooze fest. But yeah, like man, like and the worst part is since it's there's no guarantee even when you kill the animals, you know, that you're gonna get the part that you need. You know, it's all I'm forgetting the word right now, why it's escaping my mind. But anyway, there's no guarantee that you're gonna get the necessary materials when you kill the thing, or when you you scavenge that resource. So you're really like leaving it up to RNG is like essentially what I was trying to say. You're like it's totally random. So you may end up killing multiple creatures in order to upgrade this pouch, or upgrade your ammo capacity, and there's like it just takes forever. And so I decided as of today, I'm just gonna go straight to the end. I'm just gonna try to beat the game without like upgrading my resources and pouches and my weapons and stuff like that. And
do you think you'll need to? I mean, sorry to interrupt, but do you think you'll need it, or?
I mean, it would make it easier because then I wouldn't have to craft as much.
Mm-hmm.
You can run out of arrows, and then you have to craft those arrows like during gameplay. While you're like fighting an enemy. So like, yeah, it would be nice if I didn't have to craft arrows while I'm fighting an enemy. In addition to that, it's just nice to be able to just hold more of everything. Like just having that on you, because like, yeah, maybe like, you know, maybe some bombs that I would have, like, during the match, maybe I have like a total capacity of 3 during a fight. And then, while I can craft more, the crafting bombs during a battle is like kind of unrealistic. You will be attacked. You can't really craft, like, you might be able to like run away and craft them like quick enough, but those take extremely like a lot longer.
So there's a
um
character animation that stops you doing anything else except crafting this thing, as
yeah,
opposed to just making them with a paused game or whatever.
there is and isn't. So like with traps, yes, but not with like arrows. I can like slow down time, and then I just hold down like the X button, and then it just crafts them. Well, like, and but it still takes a couple seconds like while I'm doing that, so I'm running and dodging like in slow time, like while this is all happening. But yeah, I'm just gonna head to the end. Like, I was really looking forward to like leveling up my character and like leveling up my weapons and doing all that stuff, but it's actually like making it like so I don't want to play the game. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm so far in, like 80, 90 hours, somewhere around there. And I just yeah, I don't want to spend like another like 10 hours or 5 hours or even 1 hour leveling up all this equipment. So
Well,
um
there's the solution to this, right? Just beat
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just beat the
yeah.
game.
Yeah,
Just
Just
get
go
good.
on,
Just
beat the
beat it.
game.
yeah. Oh
Get
yeah.
good, beat the game. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go do the final mission, and beat it. So
Yep. Go for
So
it.
hopefully next week, I'll
you're
have an
talking
update.
you're talking about that, or that you beat the game and that you've moved on to something else, or that you're at the end of the game and you're like, I can't beat this game.
Nah, that won't happen to me.
Are you sure? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but there goes your Horizon update.
All
Nice.
right. All right, for sure, for sure. So, with the icebreaker and what we're playing out of the way, I like doing this at the beginning of the show because it gets us warmed up into what we're going to talk about, which is usually video games, the companies, all that sort of
It's
thing.
funny. Gonna be talking a lot of Nintendo, and I gotta tell you, I still haven't played any Nintendo.
Yeah, well, not that much. Well, we'll start off with this story that the Nintendo Switch, it's been doing very, very well in its lifetime. It sold over 107 million units. It outsold the PS4 in the US. I think it eventually will pass the PS4, and then I think it's gonna. I think if it keeps going the way it is, it will get to the PS2 and be the greatest console ever sold of all time. Even though people will just be like, "This thing can be so much better." But at any rate, Nintendo wants to be careful with whatever next Switch that they come out with, whether it be the Switch 2 or Switch U or whatever they want to call it. They don't want a repeat of the Wii U. So Nintendo officials do have concerns about that. And, here's a quote here. Unlike in the past, even though the Nintendo Switch has gone through 5 years since its launch, there is still a rich lineup of new titles to be released. The biggest reason for that is thanks to the smooth launch of the Switch itself. We have been able to concentrate our development resources on one platform. What do you think of when you hear something like that? Well, actually, wait a sec before you give me your thoughts. Let's go back to the launch of the Wii U. What did everyone think the Wii U was? I
I'm not
mean,
sure I
most
knew it
people.
existed. I
Finest. I mean, you watched E3. I mean, the Wii U. What did people even think it was a console, or like people were confused about it, right? If you go back to 2011 or whenever that thing
I
came
think
out.
your average consumer was confused about it, but
Maybe not me, but I mean,
yeah, like I wasn't confused about it. Like the only thing was, if you remember that Wii U announcement, like there
yeah.
was, like I just remember the Wii U trailer, and like with that, they just had a whole bunch of features that like really were never realized. Like I
Hmm.
remember them playing like golf, like off the Wii U. Like the Wii U tablet was on the floor, and they're like doing a backswing, and then like they hit it, and then you see this this like imaginary golf ball like go into the screen, and then there's like it just flies, like, and you just see like the actual gameplay going into the screen. In addition to that, they had like coloring, like you can color Zelda, like coloring features like on the Wii tablet or on the Wii U tablet and stuff like that. Yeah, they just had like all these features that were never realized, and that isn't on top of everything else. But no, I wasn't confused by it. I don't think gamers were for the most part. I think
Maybe the average consumer.
I think
Matt.
I'm the average consumer that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, it could be because I wasn't engaged with Nintendo consoles really, but in its initial inception, if you asked me what a Wii U was, I would have said it was a tablet.
Okay, that's
That's
fair
about
enough.
it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they also had another launch issues. Also, I don't think the titles are very good enough. That's one reason why I didn't buy it. Like Nintendo Land looked like garbage to me. I'm just being completely honest, and just the advertising for it. Not so much the launch advertising, but just later on, just they weren't advertising to gamers. They were advertising to families, and I think that was just big mistake, and that's why it did as poorly as it did.
Well, no, I mean, I don't. I actually, I disagree with that in
Mm,
terms of like who their advertisement to. I
mm,
mean, Nintendo's a family friendly company first and foremost,
yeah.
and very much they were advertising to the people that bought the Wii. The Wii was a success because it reached people that Nintendo's consoles never really reached before. It reached grandmothers and grandfathers. It reached kids of all ages. It reached just not only the boyfriend but the girlfriend. It reached everyone that their consoles didn't normally reach because that that peripheral, that niche, that gimmick that it had really opened up gaming to a wider audience it allowed people to really play gaming like it's never been played before. That's why we saw Xbox essentially copy it or try to copy it and create their own thing with the Kinect, and that's why we saw PlayStation come out with PlayStation Move. Um, Nintendo was doing something revolutionary. I mean, they really were, and they did it fairly well. I mean, but the thing is, when the Wii was such a success, and everyone had one and knew what that was, and then for them to come out with something called a Wii U afterwards, that's essentially running on the same hardware. The games look very much the same. The branding was the same, and then marketing towards families that probably just purchased a Wii, maybe a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years, prior to that, and then them coming out with this new thing, and then people not being able to really tell them like why should I buy this? I think was the biggest issue overall.
I think it was for me. I think it was a combination of the titles, and then to respond to you with the Wii. If you really think about it, the Wii came out in 2006, like a year before the iPhone came out. So I think it was just the average consumer looking to do something. Once the smartphones came out, that category left. But hey, they had already purchased, the Wii's and Wii Sports, and just played it a couple times, collected dust. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. But I think with the Switch, you got something different here because they're only concentrating on one piece of hardware now. The 3DS is on the shelf. It's done. Well, yeah, it's done. So I
It's done.
mean, if they come out with the next gen Switch, the Switch 2, the Switch U, whatever they want to call it, I think they will have an easier time because they're only concentrating on one piece of hardware. It's just a matter of them doing it. And Finance pulled up something on the screen now. It is the Wii U, and
Looks like the
What
Wii.
is it? What are you sure? Which one is it?
it's the Wii U.
Okay.
It's the Wii U. Yeah. I thought it was a Wii at first, but yeah, most of them are black. But yeah,
I think the really important thing to distill this down to is the innovation component. Like they innovated so greatly with the Wii, and following that up with something that was just like a little step forward. People weren't sure whether it was just an updated Wii or a different console entirely. And then to follow up with the Switch again, that's another huge jump where they did integrate the DS for mobile gaming and they increased the graphical ability and the possibility for games at the time well beyond what the Wii and the Wii U were capable of. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. And as a company that's family oriented, who's now has, well, you said 2006, that's about 16, 17 years of statistics telling them that their success ties directly with extreme innovation, that if they can't innovate again, that they could potentially lose their user base again. They don't want to do a Windows Vista and follow up with Windows 7 and then it's XP and then Vista and then Windows 7 for
Thank you for your PC
games.
analogy. Yeah.
Yep. But that's exactly what it is, though. And this is why we don't have a Half-Life 3 at the moment. Because Valve is like, we're not going to be able to measure up to what Half-Life 2 did for physics in game engines back in whenever it came out. Or Episode 2, I think, was the latest one. Like, their fear is genuine. And with how short user attention spans are these days and how hard it is to maintain a user base when a platform like Netflix can decide that you have to pay a little bit more money, and all of a sudden they lose like $20 billion off their market cap. Like that's a massive amount of pressure for a company. So I think they quite rightly need to be a little bit worried about how they approach the next thing. Now, I read quietly somewhere in some corner of some article somewhere that they're probably going to focus on getting the Nintendo Switch online and accounts with Nintendo in front of the users and have people register for that so that they can tie all of the activity directly to an account that will span across consoles instead of having people on the Wii or the Wii U not translate directly to the Switch, which is precisely what all our other consoles are doing and exactly why Microsoft always, and Sony, always cop the backwards compatibility argument whenever they release a brand new console, right? Which, again, compounds that difficulty for them because they have never made games backwards compatible across consoles on Nintendo, right? They have eventually introduced emulated copies, maybe, these days, but...
Yeah, they've always avoided it. Yeah.
So many layers to this thing.
Yeah, the only thing I think of is just GameCube to Wii and Wii U to Wii. That's it.
There was no way for you to stick a GameCube disc in the Wii U, right?
No.
Oh, sorry, in the Wii.
Yeah, you
I'm
can.
getting confused.
You can. The Wii U can.
can?
The Wii U no. Yeah, GameCube was backwards compatible with Wii, and then Wii was backwards compatible with Wii U. So they did do it. They just ditched it when they went to the Switch. But
I actually did not know that.
You didn't know that?
I actually did not know that.
If you have I think you do
I
have a Wii.
right here. Yeah.
All right. If you open up one of those compartments, you'll see like 4 control sockets. Those are for GameCube controllers.
That's pretty cool.
So wait, it's for GameCube controllers?
Those are for GameCube controllers, yes.
Nintendo GameCube. It says right there. I don't know.
I guess you missed it.
There you go. It's pretty
So
well.
wait, that's controllers, but
you can play. But you can play the games there too.
Oh yep. I see it. I see it right there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I learned something.
Podcast unboxings. But look, what people. The other last component I'll mention for this, because we've talked about it for a long time already, is that they have stated that the Switch life cycle is going to be about 10 years, right? We're about halfway through. There could be 5 or 6 more years on top of that.
Yes.
That's a lot of pressure in that pressure cooker, and maybe they're trying to buy themselves more time and pushing games to be developed for a platform in the longer term so they don't have to worry about compatibility and stuff, but maybe the next big thing will come around by the time the Switch 2 needs to be developed. But they need to start thinking about the development of that new console soon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure they have.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. Yeah. And right now they just need to make it more powerful, if anything. I think that's what everyone wants to see. Just just throw everything at it. Let's see if this can do Elden Ring or something, just...
And look, we're conspiracy theorists at the best of times these days. If all they do at the end of this is come out with the Switch 2, which has an upgraded chipset, better graphical chipset, and all that other garbage, but it's the same form factor, are people going to be disappointed?
I don't think anyone will have a problem. I
don't think anyone would either.
If it can go toe-to-toe with the Steam Deck, bring it on.
Now, I don't know about that. That's totally something totally different.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But I mean,
I just wanted to point this out before we move on too. So I have the screen that left up. I have that left up on purpose, but it says switch from TV to the new controller. So I feel like very much the Switch was kind of, what they wanted to do initially with the Wii U.
It is.
As
It is
and
totally.
it's really bringing that game console to controller and being able to take it on the go thing that they wanted to do. And from the trailer that we played before, you saw some of those features, but none of them really worked and none of them were really realized. And the Wii U felt cheap and blocky and bad communication, horrible
Yeah.
support for games.
Mm.
So yeah, I understand Nintendo not wanting to make those mistakes, but this isn't their first generation. And they've
But audiences are fickle, man. I mean,
Yeah, it
Microsoft's
not
is.
been
not
doing it for a long
Nintendo,
time.
not Nintendo fans, man.
Yeah.
Nintendo fans are like die hard, like they are
Yeah,
die hard.
Nintendo fans, those
I don't know.
fanboys and fangirls out there, they will fight for Nintendo even when it's a bad product.
But
So
I think there are Call of Duty fans of Nintendo as well. The Call of Duty fans being the ones who complain every iteration that the game doesn't do exactly what they want it to, but they still drop $80 and
Yeah,
$200
yeah,
on DLCs or whatever for that game every year,
yeah,
just because
yeah.
they like it. I think
Suppose.
everyone's carroting their way around with whatever they can buy as a consumer these days. They will drink their Starbucks at the same time reserving the right to complain about how Starbucks impacts the environment. Like, I wouldn't call it hypocrisy, but
I would.
Yeah, same.
hard stance. Anyway, I'm just saying anything can
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But you are right. There is a hardcore audience of Nintendo fans around that are just very focused inwardly.
All right. Speaking of Nintendo, we're gonna stay with them a little bit. Or we're gonna switch gears though. We're gonna go to the Nindies Direct that they had this past week, the Indie World Showcase. Um, if you want to watch it, it is available. It's about 20 minutes long. We're just going to go through the cliff notes here of some of the games that were announced. Gunbrella, Another Crab's Treasure, Elect Head, Mini Motorways, Oblets, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, or TABS for short, and Wild Frost. So those were some of the highlights of the show. Two of the games I'm liking is Electhead, which I know is already available on PC. Actually, might try it out on PC, and Mini Motorways, which is available now. Any of these games interest you guys?
Yeah, Gunbrella.
Umbrella, okay.
Yeah, Devolver Digital. Oh, what's up?
I think there's a couple more games that you might have missed on
Uh,
this list. I'm just going to hunt for them now, just in case.
all right.
But yeah, there was a couple there that interested me. Soundfall
Soundfall.
is one that was announced in that indie showcase coming to Switch, which was quietly released on PlayStation. It's like a Crypt of the Necrodancer sort of game where you use rhythm to improve your combat when playing the game. That one looked very interesting.
Oh yeah, Opus, Echo of Star Song, and Gibbon Beyond the Trees. Those were two other ones that were mentioned. Besides Umbrella, anything else on there that interests you?
I mean, I'm sorry, not to not to knock Matt's game. Not to Matt.
And definitely not to Mac Matt, because
No,
he will
not
not
to
welcome
Mac
that
Matt.
at all.
Does that mean the same thing in Australia?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right, we're on the
Let's
same
see.
page there.
Talk about the
Yeah.
Mac.
Yeah, no, Umbrella was absolutely incredible. That like just seems like my type of game. It's a noir shooter where he stole and this isn't like the exact lore, but he stole Penguin's umbrella from Batman, and he can now shoot from it. He can slide on ropes. He can glide. He can hover like Princess Peach. He's just he has all these different abilities with this gun, with this umbrella that's a gun, and I think that's awesome. Nothing else. I honestly I looked at it and nothing else really caught my attention, but maybe I'll look at the one that Matt just spoke to.
All
All
right,
right.
Polygon, I've got a problem with you because you
Uh,
are biased against Australians. There are two games that were announced at the Indie World Showcase event in that video. One of them is called Wayward Strand, which is a narrative-based game made by Australians with Australian voice actors about a story of families on an airship. It's kind of like a point-and-click adventure type game, I think. It's been in development for a little while, announced last year. Looks very cool. Very cool game. And the other one is Cult of the Lamb, which is not a new announcement. It's been on the radar for a little while, but also an Australian-developed game. So Polygon, calling you out, discriminating against Australians here. We've got a burgeoning developers market of games being created, and Forgotten Worlds is one of those. Calling you out, people. What are you doing? Don't ignore Australia.
Come on, Polygon. You can do better than that.
Come on, mate.
Come on.
Anyway.
Come on.
That's all I'll say. But Cult of the Lamb looks like a really good one. And seriously, Wayward Strand,
Cult
definitely.
of the Lamb. Okay.
Switch game, all about it. So
yeah, but I like that. It looks real fun to me. Kind of reminds me of the Pedestrian, which I played earlier this year. Thank you for that recommendation, Matt. So just like Pedestrian, a little bit of Mega Man, 2D platforming fun. I kind of want to get my hands on that. So that was real good to me. I think you like it, Matt.
There's a lot of handy platformers coming out at the moment. All that I've seen around.
Yeah, enough of them. And then last bit of Nintendo news. The Nintendo president says the company will continue to add value to Switch Online, and most U.S. users have upgraded to the expansion pack. So let's talk about that last statement. With most U.S. users upgrading to the expansion pack, that means whoever has the Switch Online, looks like most of them have upgraded. I myself have upgraded, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess I have more access to retro games that I can record for y'all. But I think, rumor has it that they are going to be bringing the Game Boy family of systems, the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. So if they can keep that the same price and add all that, I think the Nintendo Switch Online will be in really great shape. It's just, I just try to think, why didn't they add all this at the beginning? But at the end of the day, I just keep reminding myself, this is Nintendo. This is Nintendo.
And this is what this statement is saying, right? It's saying, you guys have spoken with your wallets. We've decided we're going to improve this platform infinitely now because you're paying for it. As opposed to, here's all the things you will get if you pay for it. That's what I see here.
For me, it's very much a promise that we've already heard, and we've gotten a couple things here that it's expanding, it's growing, which is good to see. But the numbers are still pretty much, the concurrent user base is pretty much the same as it was, a year ago, even before the expansion. So we're seeing that it was about 32 million then; it's about 32 million now. So even though U.S. users have potentially bought, or have been the most interested in this, you're still seeing, as many users that it must have jumped on. There must have been, or upgraded. There must have been not a significant draw for people to bring a lot of new users in. So I think it's a promise to make a something better, and to hopefully draw in more users at some point or some time. But right now, the value, I would say for most people isn't there, or it's there for a very short time. It's like they paid for it. They played there were 64 games for like a week or two, and now they've dropped off.
Look, but this is the inflection point. Like, they're going to put money into this to develop and release stuff for Nintendo Switch Online, regardless of the user base, I'd say. So now people can do what they do with Game Pass, just wait for the stuff that you do want to be there, and then jump on it. I think that's probably what it should be signaling to consumers now.
Yeah, well, it tells me that they are looking to make improvements. They know that it had a rocky start in the beginning, and that was no big secret. It could have launched a lot better, but they've listened to their consumers. They're paying attention. They're going to add more. They're going to make this better. They need to do that by adding Game Boy next. All right, so I think we've talked enough Nintendo for one podcast.
For a lifetime.
For a lifetime, yeah. So, all right, let's move on to Sony. They're saying that PS5 sales to 18 million announces share buyback. So 1.5 billion share buyback sees 56% rise in PS5 sales. So that means PS5 is selling a bit stronger. It's saying that the Japanese giant plans to carry out the share repurchase between looks like May 11th and next year May 10th, 2023. It is said to buy back 38.6 billion yen, which is about 1.06 billion. Um, their operating profit, Sony's games division rose 175% year on year in the March quarter. The company sold 11.5 units of its flagship PS5 in financial year March 31st versus the 7.8 in the previous year. So, regardless, it's looking like it's only the PS5 is making strong sales. What are your thoughts on the PS5 and the sales?
The article that you've noted for us here from CNBC notes at the end that Sony is anticipating a drop in sales in this year because of the fallout from the conflict
With Russia?
with Russia and Ukraine.
Well, I heard. Well, aren't
And
they? Well, sorry to interrupt, but aren't they going to be shipping those units elsewhere in terms of like? Aren't they going to ship some of those units to the U.S. Perhaps? It would with
that,
the.
yeah, but
Uh,
the fact that they're anticipating, like, sorry, I've missed the point of the way that you've phrased this. Obviously, this means a positive impact for people being able to get PS5 consoles again in the short term, especially if they're going to reroute those consoles from countries that they won't be selling to. But in the context of Sony, as one of the big giants that's looking down the barrel of acquisitions and things like that, the impact of noting an anticipated loss and the idea of buying back shares to consolidate their ownership in the company could have a significant impact to the way they operate their business. Like, again, having just come off reporting on the dead drop and talking about Square Enix and their plans to consolidate by selling off their Western studios to the Embracer Group, they're really leaning out a little bit and bringing things internally to their center in Tokyo and trying to try to make sure that what they're doing is as streamlined as possible. And it looks like that's what Sony might be doing here as well. Now, I'm not going to admit not an economical expert. I am inferring things based on what I understand about the stock market, but buying shares back after a very profitable year means that they do have the capital now to spend, and being able to buy back those shares so that there isn't a stock manipulation down the line when stocks drop after they can't make as many sales and create more products could be them trying to head something off at the pass so that they can retain their value. At the moment, I'm talking myself into a storm. I don't. Basically, what I'm saying is Sony is in a very strong position now. The fact that they anticipate that they won't be, and with the Russian conflict causing a shortage of whatever they need to make things happen, combined with whatever we're dealing with in terms of whatever chips are going to be available to develop more consoles further down the track until 2024 or whatever the Intel bloke said it was going to be. That stuff combining together all leads to a picture that could be pretty bleak for Sony going forward. That's basically what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that like I didn't understand what you said, and there's a lot I want to touch on.
And that's perfectly
But
fine because
yeah.
if what I said there didn't make much sense, then that's perfectly fine. Yeah. But there's a
yeah,
lot of things
and
to consider with this article.
Yeah.
no, there really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, a couple of things that I just want to hit on real quickly is like, yeah, I mean, this is expected in terms of, Sony stock going up and things of that nature. Just, this is very much speaks to the 300 million that they recently just talked about that they invested into their first party studios. They're seeing significant growth. And this is one of the reasons why Jim Ryan was speaking and said that, like, that they're not going to do a Game Pass model when their PlayStation Plus service launches next month. Because they can't, they don't want to facilitate it, and they very much see their company would deteriorate if they possibly had a Game Pass type model and things of that nature. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on right there. The other aspect to that is they didn't hit their forecast last year. So very much they were off, I believe, by 3 million units, or they did lower their forecast, last year also. So, but they still, regardless of that, didn't hit what they said they wanted to hit. So even with that being said, with them forecasting 18 million, which is great, I feel like there must be like an influx of chips somewhere, and as of late last year, Sony did team up with a chip manufacturer from Taiwan, TSMC. So, this could be, in relation to their possible partnership, why they're forecasting so much more. Because like I said, it's a 56% increase over, the previous year, I believe is what that was saying. But yeah, I don't know. There is a lot to touch on right there, a lot to interpret, and yes, there is something happening within Sony. Is the reason why they are buying back shares and treating this as is. We don't know the financials essentially, so we can't really speak to it appropriately.
We are not
we can only
financial
guess.
analysts. Do not take
Yeah.
our advice.
Yeah, I mean,
Disclaimer.
we're just gamers that read these articles and we just do our best to make sense of them. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it. But one article that, the next article that we're coming across that makes sense to me is Sony's 3.6 billion dollar deal, excuse me, to buy Bungie is under scrutiny from the FTC. So we knew that. Well, I'm very surprised that. Well, maybe not surprised, but the fact that they're scrutinizing the deal now. I mean, I don't see what could be so unfair about uh, Sony and this deal with the FTC. You know, 3.6 billion to buy Bungie is. I mean, it's a good deal. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's the bigger deal like Xbox buying Activision, but for the most part, the fact that it's under scrutiny is just it's kind of crazy. But I mean, the FTC was going to step in and investigate it anyway, but now it's just
That's the thing. They have the right to do this, and they will do this. Again, the GameSpot article you linked here says that they reserve the right to review it, even if they can't block it.
yeah.
And look,
I don't
I think I think the word scrutiny is quite strong here. From everything that I've seen, I don't think there is any reason to be concerned that Bungie is not going to be absorbed into Sony. I think they just do the work to look at this stuff, and because of all the acquisitions that have been happening, that could be a reason for them to pursue it a little bit more strongly and openly than they would have in the past. But I don't think it's going to stop it. From what I've heard,
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's just really to kind of signal the flag to companies and let them know, like, hey, you guys need to slow down on these acquisitions. We're going to make it as difficult for you as possible is kind of what the feel that I'm getting from that. But I feel like they, in a sense, they are. I know, let's see, as of this week, I read an article that they are forming like a private sector, the FTC, or another group is being formed. It's either through government or directly through the FTC. I'm not quite sure. I didn't read the article completely, but they're forming another group to kind of oversee these larger acquisitions for gaming and specifically. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but it is something that we may see actually slow down. Yeah, because Jim Ryan said it's going to happen more. Xbox is still trying to close their deal and everything. And I think I don't think we're going to be seeing as many acquisitions as we potentially, or at least they would have hoped for, going forward.
Yeah, I think with this deal being scrutinized, I think it's just telling other companies slow your roll. Like they don't, the FTC doesn't want to see the video game industry become a monopoly, at the end of the day. And, I don't think any of these acquisitions will make it a monopoly, but I think that what they've seen so far in 2022, it sounds like they've seen that like enough is enough. Like why are you guys selling if you don't need to sell or whatnot? But I mean, you never know with these companies, so what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, let's push back on them a bit. Let's say instead of them saying, "Hey, we've let you guys get away with enough. Now we're dropping the hammer." Maybe instead they're scrambling because the gaming industry has exploded in the last 5 to 10 years in a way that nobody would have anticipated. It's one of the most popular mediums, not only to make money, but to engage audiences in the same way that you have films. We've just come out of a massive set of lockdowns that push people to games harder than ever. And maybe they're scrambling now because they've realized, oh shit, there's stuff going on here. There's a big industry here. We don't want to get caught short and look like we haven't done anything to regulate this stuff where we can. So it might be a bit of that too.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, with that being said, like we talked about in the last article, PS5 shortages may be coming into an end sooner than experts think. They're predicting within the next year, between now and May of next year, that 18 million PS5s will be sold. This I'd have to just see to believe it. Just I mean, if you can, I think the shortages will be done if you can just walk into your local electronics store, buy a PS5, not have to fight anyone for it, and just going about your day. So that's more of a that's a forecast prediction or whatnot. I just have to see it to believe it, and I just have to see the numbers.
Look, from what I've seen, at least in Australia, it seems to be showing its colors here. There's a couple of Twitter accounts that I follow that are basically bots that spider across the internet and look for active PlayStation 5 sales happening from any number of stores. And I'm getting more notifications from those Twitter accounts in the last few weeks than I have for months prior to that. And we're talking like 4 or 5 times a week, up from once a fortnight or something like that. So I think very much will come, but surely the message here has to be, hey, don't worry, you can get a PS5 for regular retail price. Don't pay the scalpers, just hang on for a sec and you'll be able to get one.
Yeah, it's just tough. Because Intel, one of the biggest chip makers, in the world, is saying, like, hey, like, this isn't going to ease up until 2024, is what they're saying. And then, then we're getting a report like this, and very much, I mean, I would trust a chip maker over assuming, reading these financials and reading.
Finus, your microphone.
Goal is going to be.
Oh, you're back.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, your microphone dropped out for a second there. If you could dial us back about 5 seconds, that'd be great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that. But you can hear me right now?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, but just assuming, seeing these financials and seeing these forecasts, just to assume that PlayStation 5s are going to be easier to purchase, I don't necessarily believe that's going to be the fact based on, just going off Sony's forecast, because as of right now, they're sold as fast as you can get them on the shelf. So, and they're still nowhere to be found. So even if 18 million are influxed into the the economy, though I can guarantee you there's more than 18 million people searching for PS5s right now. So regardless, more people will have PS5s this year, but that doesn't necessarily mean really anything beyond that. We could very much see them not meet their forecasts, or if they do get 18 million out this year, that's just 18 million people that are potentially happier worldwide. That doesn't mean any given place. So, but they could still be very difficult to find going into 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm gonna say is good luck this holiday season looking for one.
Well, I was going to say that the summary for this article should surely be PS5 shortages will be coming to an end soon. Great.
Excellent.
Like, what does it tell us about anything? We've talked about it for about 5 minutes, and all we've come to is it may impact their stock price. It has question marks against it about what it may impact for consumers. Can you actually get one? Who knows?
We'll just have to wait and see.
Just knowing that they're coming. That's important.
All right.
You don't like talking in circles?
I love talking in circles, but I value your time.
I appreciate it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. All right. So last bit of Sony news. New PS3 and PS Vita firmware updates strengthen account security. Well, I think it makes it worse if you ask me. It sounds like they really just want to push you away from these platforms, but we'll just go through the notes. Sony has improved account security on 2 of its legacy machines through new firmware updates deployed the other day. I'm not sure what day it was. For the PS3, we're looking at update 4.89, PS Vita 3.74. Essentially, the 2 console patches remove the ability to create a PSN account on the system themselves, now requiring a smartphone or a PC to set one up. This also introduces 2-factor authentication as a standard on PS Vita, at least. Pretty much, here are the main notes here. Signing into the PSN now requires 2-factor authentication for better account protection. And account creation for PSN and certain account management functions are no longer available on the console. Use your PC or mobile browser to use account management features with improved performance, speed, and security. Why did they do this?
I think it's because they probably don't want to support the creation of accounts on old platforms that they have to continuously update. Like them removing the ability to create accounts and connect to different things and do certain stuff in that service and putting it in what they already do support and will in perpetuity just makes sense, I think. Yeah. That's what I read from this anyway. Like how many people are going to go out and buy a PS3 and try and create their PSN account on that PS3 specifically?
Someone who doesn't have one. Maybe it's their first console. You never know. But I mean,
someone who doesn't have a phone or a computer or
I
anything
suppose.
like that.
I mean, maybe not the internet, but I mean, the console like the PS3 and the Vita, you would need the internet. So I think it would not be a good purchase if you didn't have the internet. So I mean, it's already a pain, like for me, because I have the PS3 and the Vita, and yeah, you have to like get like a dummy password or something now, and you pretty much have to leave it clicked in all the time. Otherwise, you got to go back through like the Sony website or whatever to get another one. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but yeah, that's how they do it now. So it was already kind of a pain to do it, and then I can understand the 2-way factor authentication, though. I mean, that's pretty common on most consoles these days. If you don't have it, then just go do it now, because accounts get hacked all the time. So
Definitely.
yeah.
I really don't have any thoughts on it. I mean, my first thought, like when I did read this article, was like, oh, like this is probably to like one to prevent modding. Was my biggest takeaway from this, and yeah, that's the only thing I can really come to is like why they would take time to upgrade these consoles, so many years later.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, even though I do have those 2 legacy consoles, I have yet to mod them yet. My Wii U is modded though, but yeah, those 2, and really no reason to, in my opinion. Just I mean, if you're gonna do it, maybe I'll do it years later on down the line, but once they totally cut off support for it, but you never know.
Or wait for PlayStation Plus Extra or whatever and get your back catalog of PS3 games that way.
I just want them to just stop doing the whole just like with the PlayStation Now, just the streaming route. Just do an emulator or something, or just let us play the games on a PS5. That'd be great. But I mean,
Gonna have to wait and see what happens there.
yeah,
It's still very much on the fence with cloud gaming at the moment, I think.
yeah.
A few companies got to do it right or wrong in order for things to change significantly. We'll see.
I mean, I'd love another mini console. I mean, I would pay for it, like,
Yeah,
long as the emulation's good, and then but that costs
but
more time, more production.
yeah,
So
mini PS2, mini PS3. And yeah, you never know. All right, let's go on to some more news stories. We're about to see a 30-year breakup in the making. EA Sports and FIFA are breaking up. FIFA 23 is going to be the last game in the FIFA series, and then it's going to be Sports FC, EA Sports FC, for which is FC being football club. So, what are your thoughts on them breaking up? Was it come a long time coming?
Oh, not a huge time. From what I understand, the last couple of years, FIFA has been a little bit cheeky with how they license it out to EA. I think they doubled the price that EA would have to pay to use the FIFA name on their games in the last couple of years to like $1 million or something. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back is that FIFA wanted to license out its name to other games being developed as well. So what does that mean? EA goes, stuff you. We're going to just create our own and save potentially tons of money in licensing costs and other potential roadblocks with the development of the game. But from what I understand, there's not much with the game that will be changing. Like the teams will still be there. There'll still be tons of content that would remain the same. It's literally just having it be called FIFA that's changing. Am I right there, Finest?
yeah, you're totally right, and that like leads me to my bigger thought, like who needed who more? The chicken and the egg. Like,
Mm,
is it FIFA that needed EA and them to develop this game to really to bring it to consumers, and is that how it got popular, or was it the other way around? Was this game only thriving because it had the FIFA name? And I really think that FIFA feels that you know they made the game and they made the name and so forth, but I feel the opposite. I really feel like the game lent itself and did such a good job in creating a soccer game, the best soccer game out there, that really brought FIFA to a breadth of people. I wouldn't know what FIFA is. Like, honestly, like I would have no idea. I know now, like I know like it's the I don't know what it stands for, but the association, the football association or whatever. But you know it. I think EA is going to be okay. Like I think like some people may not realize what's going on when the time is being like in 2024 when the next game comes out and there's no FIFA. But I think for any hardcore FIFA fans that are currently fans, I think they're going to be just fine. And they're still going to get their game. They're still going to get their athletes and players and jerseys and everything. It's literally just a different name on the box. And I think really FIFA is going to be the biggest ones to suffer from this. And in addition to that, I'm kind of happy for EA in the game because FIFA is I looked it up like after because I just wanted to know a little bit more information when like discussing this. And FIFA just has like a horrible background,
mm,
and they do really atrocious things, and just like I was just reading an article like just about like how like them building stadiums and things of that nature is just like this whole corrupt and I these aren't facts, these are just like articles that I'm reading online, so take them with a grain of salt, but just very much like how it's like so corrupt, like how they bring these world cups to different countries and different places, and then they build a stadium and they pay out all these politicians, they pay out people, raise tax dollars for everyday people. Well, there's a bigger discussion there,
mm.
but
Yeah.
short end of the story, I think EA is going to be okay, and Football Club is going to be another great game, another great soccer game.
Yeah, I think EA will be fine because they haven't broken up with Madden yet. They just need to make those Madden games better. But
But here's an interesting one.
mm,
What if FIFA, someone else buys the license to develop games titled FIFA? Do you reckon it'll be weird to have EA Sports FC as well as FIFA on shelves, and will that confuse people?
like if 2K just swooped in like
Yeah,
FIFA 2K,
Yeah,
but
2K FIFA.
yeah,
do you? I
2K,
mean,
whatever FIFA,
who's
yeah.
gonna want to pay that money? Because I mean, my understanding was it was a billion. They raised it to $1 billion for
Oh,
EA to use it.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if that was the point, like if someone's gonna pay that money, yeah, then yeah. But I mean, why would
I
FIFA
don't see
lower
any.
that price?
I
Otherwise,
don't see any
they might as
developer
well
doing
just
that.
they might as well just kept the EA at that point if they were gonna lower their price. So
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
They may even increase it because they realize the
yeah,
value that the name FIFA has in video games, so it'll go up.
yeah.
Especially because people will want it. They will Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But it'd be a weird case to see both
Yeah,
games
I
on
mean,
shelves, I think.
yeah. If we,
Yeah.
yeah, let's just wait and see if FIFA's name comes up again on a video game. If a developer wants to swoop in and pick it up, like I said, I just
Yeah.
don't
I
see
mean,
any developer paying that kind of money.
the game has to back it up too,
Yeah,
though, because
that
I
too.
mean, the name will deteriorate so quickly. You know, we've seen it with so many games. We saw it with like Mass Effect. We saw it with
NBA Live.
NBA Live. I mean, no, there. I was thinking of Fable was
Yeah,
the other one. You know, there's just so many big games that were like the pillars of gaming, and then they didn't put out quality games. And now where are they now? Who knows? Like,
yeah. All right.
Oh
Well,
well.
definitely. Speaking of more games, Gotham Knights. I think this is on all three of ours radars for this year. October 25th, the game will be coming out. But it's been canceled for last gen consoles, meaning no PS4 version, no Xbox One version. Only way to play it is PC, or you gotta get yourself a PS5 or Xbox Series X or S to play the game. I think this is kind of a slap in the face since newer gen hardware is still a bit hard to come across, at least the PS5. But Finance has successfully gotten the Xbox Series X. It's getting easier. Um, should should people be outraged, or should they just get a new console or a PC?
Look, it's a tough one. This
It is.
time was going to come soon for all of the consoles. We know that PlayStation and I think it was just PlayStation. I can't remember, but their first party titles at least were going to be limited to. I think God of War is going to be the last one, and then every title developed after that will not be backwards compatible in the same way that it is now. And look, it's going to be a case study at this stage, but Cyberpunk, you have to look at that and realize that the consoles that everybody had that the game was purported to work on actually worked worse on. Whereas they didn't even have a PS5 or a Series X version of that game, but it still worked better than those older consoles did. And they might be looking at projected losses in future and say, well, 6 months down the track, we're not going to be needing to maintain this game on those older platforms. So it doesn't make sense monetarily for us to pursue development further on older consoles. It's a rough one though. Like it could go in one of many directions. It might be because the game versions are terrible and they require more polish than they can do, and they don't want to have to announce another delay. It could be any number of things.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you on all those
Great
points.
points. Very good points.
Yeah, I very much do. I think my biggest issue with this is just the timing of the announcement. You know, 5 6 months before the game is supposed to release, and very much like now telling us like, hey, like after so much anticipation, you know, people, you know, thinking they could hold out on their consoles a little bit longer, and then, you know, very much announcing this now is just man, that's tough, you know, because when this game was announced or revealed, you know, it was very much the thought that this was going to be on the console, like this was going to be in the last generation. And you know, just to be at a place, I know Cyberpunk like is probably like a good example, is probably the best example of like, you know, you don't want to put out a inferior product where the game doesn't work on previous gen or last gen consoles. You know, you want to ensure that like everyone that plays this game falls in loves with this game, so they can continue the franchise on the new generation as it continues. But it just I think it could have been handled a different way. You know, we got this trailer that's currently on the screen. I think it could have been announced earlier. Maybe it couldn't get it to a best the like a better place. They were trying this entire time and they couldn't do that. But I really think when a game is, when you're 5 months, before release, you're in bug squashing. You're refining the game. And so I very much think that they knew, prior to where we are at now. So I'm just a little devastated by that aspect.
Yeah.
But
The timing could have been a little bit. They could have announced it a while ago if it was just going to be exclusively next gen. They already knew, in my opinion. But yeah, right now, if you for our viewers, I mean, this is gameplay footage, and this game is looking really awesome. This is definitely a day one pickup for me.
There's
Definitely.
also a few rumors flying around at the moment that it's moving from 2-player co-op to 4-player co-op instead.
Yeah.
This was after seeing the game store, I think it was on Steam, change from 2-player co-op to 4-player co-op. So it's not confirmed by the studio yet.
The studio's already debunked that. So they
Have
put
they?
out on their they said
Oh.
WB has said that the game is only going to be 2-player.
2-player co-op. Okay.
Yeah, but I feel the total. I'm complete opposite of you, Justin. I was so hyped for this game, seeing that initial trailer, where they introduced all the characters, and then we saw that boss battle. I think it was Scarecrow on the roof. But looking at this game, looking at the gameplay of Red Hood and Nightwing. Nightwing. So there's one thing that bothered me with Nightwing. He did this. He was fighting. He did this one pose at the end where he did this gymnastics pose. Like he planted like it perfectly. That bothered me so much. I was like, was that necessary? Like, it bothered me some. And I'll show it to you guys later. I won't pull it up right now. But
Superhero landing. Got to do it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I suppose.
And then the other aspect was Red Hood. Red Hood's gameplay just did not jive with me. Like it did not look fun. The shooting didn't look great. The supernatural element that they added to him, where he can like jump in midair, really threw me off. Like I know there was a little supernatural in Batman, but I just really didn't like it. I was really hot for the game. I was a day one buy. Now I'm tentative at best.
Tentative.
Okay. Yeah, that gameplay trailer just kind of
turned you off. Okay.
I was like, it turned me off big time. I'm like, ooh, this is the graphics look okay, but it doesn't look like Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. It doesn't look like those games. Like the fluidity and the movement isn't there. And Batman before, he was bouncing all over the place, like, doing aerial combat, swoops, dives, and I just didn't get. I saw a little bit of that, but it just didn't look. It looked more clunky and slower paced than I originally remember.
Okay, that's fair. I mean,
yeah,
I definitely see where you're.
Do you feel offended? Do you?
No, not at all. I mean, even if I don't have the money or whatever, or if I can't get it day one, I mean, I'm still picking it up regardless. Like, so I mean, it's definitely a game I'm still going to play. So I mean, that's.
Well, you're picking it up regardless if it's good or not.
Well, no. I mean, if I can't get it day one for any other reason, yeah, okay. I'm still planning on playing it. So. Yeah, so I mean that looks good for me, but yeah, for you listeners out there, definitely check out Gotham Knights, the official Nightwing and Red Hood gameplay demo. It's about 13 minutes long, and you guys could be the judge for yourself on whether you plan on playing it or not. So, more game news: Ubisoft confirms games for later this year. So another company guaranteeing that there will be some games this year. They plan on putting out Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, the new Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, speaking of gameplay, there's 23 minutes of Skull and Bones gameplay in 4K. It looks like it's from the E3 2018. We'll link it in the show notes if you guys want to see that. But for the most part, they're announcing that the games are going to be coming in 2022. So that means there's going to be no delays, right, fellas?
Well, quick correction. So these games are coming out in the first quarter,
Mm,
not necessarily this year.
okay.
So their quarter ends March 31st of next year.
Mm,
Yep,
all
I was
right.
going to say financial year, so they have up
Financial
till
year. Okay.
April to do their stuff.
All right. So okay. So until April, do you think it'll be delayed beyond April? Let me rephrase that.
You know what? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, Skull and Bones. I mean, first of all, it's kind of weird that like we heard about this in a financial report, and then Ubisoft confirmed it. They just are like, oh yeah, it's coming out like within the next year or so. Yeah, which is really weird. So official announcement, yeah, I guess. But are these games really gonna come out? Yeah, I would say yeah, because I mean, Skull and Bones has been talked about, or I mean, that was announced like I believe 8 years ago.
Long
So
time ago.
it's been, and same thing with Avatar. Like Avatar, the movie, what came out like a decade ago or something, like, and then they announced that game. I would say about the same, like 7, 8 years ago. So I believe it like at least those two games are coming out. I mean, what else did they announce? I can't remember.
Mario and Rabbits, the new Mario and Rabbits game.
Yeah, I mean that game did fairly well
It did a
for
lot better than
Nintendo.
it did a lot better than I thought it was gonna do, and it was very popular too.
Yeah,
It's a little
so
tough. It's tougher than people think. I mean, I played it, so
I
it's
mean
not a
it's an
walk in the park.
XCOM
Yeah,
type of game.
yeah,
Yeah, like it. Yeah, that game is a strategy game.
yeah,
So you got to know what you're doing.
yeah, definitely. It's not a regular just platforming Mario game with rabbits. So just keep that in mind, folks.
Skull and
Uh,
Bones is perfect though,
oh yeah, Skull and
because
Bones.
oh god, I always forget the name. The seafaring game from Microsoft.
Sea of
Help me out,
Thieves.
guys.
Oh, Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
There you
You
go.
always,
That's on a
yeah.
downturn, and those were announced at around the same time. Skull and Bones and Sea of Thieves. So I think Skull and Bones is probably more likely to come out in the next financial year. I think because they want to capitalize on that. Also, Assassin's Creed Black Flag sailing stuff is going to be in there. That's what everyone's waiting for because that was a fun game. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, and there was a couple other things that came out of this financial report. One of the other things is Ubisoft has said they're going to try to remain their own company for the for the meantime. So
But funded by private equity, right?
yes,
Something like
yes,
that.
yeah.
So they're
So
not being bought by Sony or Microsoft. Okay,
yeah, so maybe Embracer Group or someone else's, a Saudi prince has invested some money in UB, and
yeah.
they have a good
So if
they have a
anyone,
good portion.
so if anyone from the FTC is listening to this podcast, I don't think you need to investigate anything with Ubisoft for now. No, so all right.
No, but I'm sorry. There was one other thing,
Okay. One more thing.
and
Okay.
I know we're running a little bit long, so
Yeah.
I will make this quick. There was just essentially there was updates on a whole bunch of other games, and I will just kind of leave it at that. But we got updates about Prince of Persia, The Division, Ghost Recon, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell. So there was a whole bunch of other things that they did touch on during the financial report. So there are a whole bunch of potential games that we might see not by the end of next year, but we may see possibly if everything goes well down the line in this next generation.
All right. Thank you for that update from Ubisoft. So we know that they are, they're going to be their own company for now, which is good. All right. So Wata Games, we've talked about this company a while back. The grading company, they are in the middle of a class action lawsuit now that's been brought against them for pretty much inflating the retro game market. And I mean, come on, did no one see this coming? I mean, let's see. The lawsuit was filed on May 10th in the Central District of California by plaintiffs and class members from across the U.S. who paid for video game encapsulation and grading services from WADA. The exact number of class members is unknown, but it's estimated they could exceed, 10,000 individuals based on WADA's average submission figures. The plaintiffs accuse WADA of engaging in affirmative acts to manipulate the retro game market, engaging in unfair business practices, engaging in false advertising, making false statements about the turnaround times for grading services, and failing to disclose material delays to customers. Uh, this was from the Video Games Chronicle. They have requested comment from both WADA and the company they're in bed with, pretty much, Heritage Auctions, but looks like they've gotten no response. Um, what are your guys' thoughts on this whole? I mean, did you guys see this coming? I mean, we had to, right? I mean, look at these numbers from last year. Mario 64 sold for $1.56 million. Super Mario Brothers sold for $2 million.
I
Well,
mean, we talked about it.
Yeah,
Oh, go on, go for it, Matt.
I was going to say that the one thing that you haven't mentioned specifically is that they're accused of selling the games themselves as
yeah,
well. The people at the
yes.
company,
Hmm.
and in that dirty dealing with that auction house that you mentioned,
Heritage
if
Auctions.
if they materially delay users' stuff that they submit to be graded, they have an opportunity to manipulate those prices on top of what they're doing with Heritage House auctions or whatever, and like they're making money off it by that. That's where the artificial inflation comes from. So it's a big ethical thing as well as whatever manipulation you can talk about in terms of retro games anyway.
Yeah. And then also, just them releasing that information to the press,
Hmm.
and having the press write about it, then kind of establishes that through line where like this game is now worth like a perfect or mint copy of this game is now worth this much. So yeah, I mean, we talked about, them the conspiracy of the inflation. Wow, it's been, I guess, almost over 6 months ago
Yeah,
sometime,
it was a while ago.
did I see a lawsuit coming? No, but I'm glad, one is happening.
Yeah,
It's devastating seeing like not even like good condition games just being charged ridiculous amounts just for the fact that they're, that they can, like, so I think that's the one thing I would just say about this. But yeah,
yeah,
it's happening.
it's kind of bullshit. And I forget the name of the video that we talked about the last time we discussed this, but I think his last name was Jobs. I want to say, check that
Mm.
video out. If you guys want more information on what's going on behind the scenes. I'm sure he put out something, or he's probably going to put out something more on this. If you guys do follow him closely, so but yeah, so I figured I'd bring that up today. WADA, just retro games, that sort of thing.
Yeah, games only as much as is only worth as much as a person will pay for it, really, when it comes down to it. So
Yeah, so
Anything is. NFTs are. And
NFTs.
it's the only thing I could think of when I thought of an artificially inflated market where the first Jack Dorsey tweet sold for like a massive amount of money, and then a year later you can sell it for a couple $100, and that's it. Like we're talking millions of dollars they bought it for, and then to sell it on, it's lost like 99.999% of its value. But you could
Yeah,
put a value on anything.
yeah, yeah,
Humanity.
got to hold on to it, play the long game.
yeah, definitely. Just
Yes,
hold
sir.
on to it. All right, so here's a fantasy game, or yeah, fantasy game that I guess someone want to see. Surprisingly, the maker from Mortal Kombat, he wants to see a Sega versus Capcom game, and it's like, can't we already do this with Mega Man versus Sonic and Super Smash Brothers Ultimate? I mean, one I would like to see is Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat. Now that sounds a lot better. I mean, but I'm sure we've all come across these like fantasy games that we'd want to see, like so like Mario versus Sonic. Well, we have that now with Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. But what do you guys think? Sega versus Capcom.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of do I want to see this? I mean, it'd be fine. Like, I think I think the reason why this is news, one because the Mortal Kombat director commented on it. The other aspect is because this is fan art.
Mm.
Like, this isn't like directly from Capcom or Sega. This is fan art that sparked this conversation. And for us people that love fighting games, it these are the best games that like we've gotten to play. Like, is really the combination matchup games, and then they're most fun because they're combinations and matchups that you would normally wouldn't see. Like, some of my favorite games are Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Street Fighter versus SNK. I mean, like, these games are different companies in different genres really bringing together their IPs in order to satisfy a wider audience. And I think it's amazing. I would love to see this. And there's a whole bunch of other mashups I would love to see.
It's the perfect encapsulation of imagination, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's stronger, vibranium or adamantium? Like, you always want to push things like that together. Yeah, I have no specific opinion. I just
Well,
I mean, this is one of the reasons why Fortnite thrives so
Yeah.
well. Like, is because Fortnite has been like the one company. Like, of course, they got popular ahead of time, so it made it a lot easier for them to bring in all these different IPs and everything. And people are basically handing it to them because, essentially, I'm sure there's some correlation with them like giving the IP to Fortnite, and then that character or that that comic or that whatever they're from becomes more popular. So yeah, I mean, Fortnite has like been able to do this, but yeah, in the fighting game space, this is big, and we want to see more of this. I'm going to bring up the art just again because it's such beautiful art. But I want a poster of that. That's
Yeah, it
gorgeous.
looks really nice. Definitely, I think I will definitely save that. I
in your
know
heart of
for
hearts, how
yeah,
likely is this to happen though?
yeah. Well,
Not likely at
not
all.
not likely at all. It's all fantasy
There
to
you go.
me. But one thing I do think about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'm surprised no Mortal Kombat characters were in the game. I thought they would have did something.
Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah,
Are you insane? Nintendo would never allow that.
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. Well, hey, we got Street Fighter characters,
The
in there.
closest
So
you get to a
yeah.
fatality in Nintendo is Kirby swallowing something. Like, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, let's stay on Sega for a minute. It seems like Sega. We always end up talking about Sega like every week now. I don't know if it's just
Yeah. The year of Sega.
yeah, the year of Sega. They're rumored to have a 2D Sonic game in production, and they say that they're going to be doing more big budget reboots on some of their IPs, such as Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. And so, I asked the question: is there any Sega game you would like to see rebooted or remastered or anything? I mean, we're all Sega fans here, right?
Yeah. Vector Man right off the bat would be
Vector Man. That was a good game. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Vector Man.
I feel
So
so
Matt's
left
like,
out right now. I've got no idea what you guys are talking about.
Vector Man.
so Vector Man was like Mega Man. It was almost like you're essentially a robot. It's a side scroller adventure, and you can shoot. You shoot things at different angles. I think the one biggest thing is that he had a diagonal shot in addition to a straight shot and straight up shot, and then he had multiple other power ups as he went through the levels. He was essentially made of a whole bunch of balls that like kind of like floated, and he was almost like a stick figure, but like of balls.
So,
Yeah,
Sega Rayman.
Pretty much. Just Google them.
kind of.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
you're looking at them now. Yeah, if you want to go that route. Yeah, yeah.
but
Rayman.
yeah, Echo the Dolphin would be another one.
Maybe Altered Beast. I think they can make that game a lot better because it's like you play that game now. It's like, what the hell is this? But I know people loved it back in the day. Altered Beast, and then just um, obviously the two main ones. Crazy Taxi. I mean, they're rebooting that one. So I mean, I would like to eventually see them come out with Sonic Adventure 3. I mean, that would be nice as the next 3D. Well, I
Hmm.
mean, we got Sonic Frontiers coming later this year, so we'll just have to
Yeah,
wait. We'll just have to wait and see what that is. But
Yeah, Sega. I mean, they got a little bit of money,
Mm-hmm.
now. They made a little money off the first Sonic movie, the second Sonic movie. They did well with Sonic Mania. They're getting a little. They have a little cachet now, and they're able to make a couple moves. So, well, it'll be interesting to see what moves they make now that they kind of are revitalized a little bit, and yeah, and they have the opportunity to really bring bigger budget games, and the quality of them is gonna be the biggest thing that matters most. And the only other game that I would think of that I would like really would like have to have is Comic Zone.
Comic
So
Zone.
yeah, so Comic Zone, you were
Yeah, I
literally
remember Comic Zone. You're
a
like
guy that got
mm,
sucked into a comic book, and then the cool thing about that game was when you're traveling from level to level, you literally could like see him jump out of the page, and he would like he would like he would like hang down on like the white strips like between the pages and
it was
like
pretty
jump
cool. It
down
was,
and then like enter the next page and stuff like that. And he had the punches and the wows and the whoops and like the whole like Batman. I don't know, I forget what they're called, like, but the when the big ass words pop up. Yeah, so
Onomatopoeic
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like
fighting
thank you.
noises. Yep.
yeah, like from
Yes.
'60s Batman or whatever. Pow, and you see it on the
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, yeah,
Bish.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
Uh,
that was pretty cool.
Toe Jam and Earl, anyone or Midnight Resistance? No, I don't
They already
know.
tried to bring back Toe Jam and Earl twice, I
Yeah,
believe,
just
and
it didn't
it
work
failed.
out.
It failed both times. Yeah.
Midnight Resistance, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, just if you guys have any Sega games you'd like to see rebooted, just let us know.
Yeah.
GameingWatchPodcast@gmail.com. All right,
I
last
just
bit
I'd like to quickly note before you move on again. This is another
of.
one of those times where I just watch you guys and I think, why isn't this a retro games podcast? Why isn't it? Because you guys can go on for so long about this stuff. I got no idea what you've just talked about. All these games you've rattled off, no idea they existed, except Mega Man and Sonic. There's so much you guys could tap into. So anyway, audience, email gamingwatchpodcast@gmail.com.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ask them
retro
for a
gaming.
retro podcast. Do
Yeah,
it.
retro gaming is one of our niches, but I mean, we like to keep up with the current gen stuff as well, and I think Finest would agree to that, right? Right,
No.
buddy?
Yeah. No. Like everything,
Yeah, yeah.
the current, the new, the future,
Yeah,
like it
we
all.
try to touch on everything, and yeah, yeah. I think Funness and I just had one of those moments there where it's just like, yeah, let's reminisce about Sega Genesis and all this stuff.
It's
So
it's when I hear yeah,
yeah.
that's when I know it's coming. Anyway,
All
let's move
right.
on.
Last bit of news before we get into our main topic. Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, a game that has gotten a lot better since it came out. They've put out characters such as Shredder and a few others. I forget the names of them, but they announced 3 new characters. One is available now, Jenny, and I have no idea what. Yeah, Jenny from My Life as a teenage robot is available now.
Hmm.
Also, who will be available soon is Hugh Neutron from Jimmy Neutron. I guess he was Jimmy Neutron's dad. I didn't watch the show that much, so. And then Rocco, a character I do know from the show Rocco's Modern Life, is going to be available as well. So they are adding more um, characters to this game. Hopefully, maybe someday we'll get all the rest of the Ninja Turtles and maybe one of the Rugrats, not just Reptar. And I don't know. I think I'm not totally pissed off with the lineup, but I think they're doing the best they can for now. But
I mean,
it's
they
all
got
good.
voice acting in there.
Yeah.
Like the voice actors are in there now.
Mm,
They're adding characters. I mean, and you can't just like add like 1,000 characters at once. Once
yeah.
again, it's a fighting game, so they
Mm,
have to make sure it's balanced.
yeah.
In addition to developing these characters and adding them in, but yeah, no, I like this game is like slowly drawing me in. Like I'm starting to feel it. I'm definitely got all these characters. Like I know Jenny, I know Hugh, I know Rocco. Reptar, I'm totally down for. Give me the rest of the Rugrats at that.
Yeah.
Garfield, Shredder, like this is my childhood, and that retro aspect is. Oh, let's get rid of that. Let's take that out.
Bit of free advertising there for the
Well,
U.S.
yeah,
government.
Yeah.
a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, nostalgia, my childhood, great. Keep on bringing characters, and the game is super cheap right now. I
Yeah.
mean, you can pick it up for $20.
Yeah,
So
like
just it didn't sell well
it is.
initially, so it's been discounted
Yeah.
severely. So I mean,
I'm not
if this is worth it for $20 to you, like I would definitely say pick it up.
Yeah, I'm not into fighting games too much like this, like these brawlers, but I mean, for a price like that, I would say if you got the money and you're looking for something to play and you like fighting games, go for it.
If you like Smash,
Yeah, if you
like
like
if you ever been
Smash,
into
go
Smash,
for
yeah.
it. Just that definitely. So yeah, they're props to Nickelodeon and just for making the game a lot better than what it launched
Um,
as.
Nickelodeon's coming hard. You got
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles,
yeah.
and two Turtles games coming out, and then they're updating this game as best they can.
All right, so now we talk Xbox, and they've had a few bumps in the road, this past week. One, just for its basic online DRM policy, where I guess last weekend, Xbox users couldn't get on their servers for a good amount of time, and they're saying that what was that message that came up? For this game, you need to be online, and it's like you are online, and it's like so. I mean, you hear about DRM issues like this, it brings me to just wonder what is the future of an all digital future. Like with
Oh, we lost them. Yep,
They heard
that's a short.
they
That's a short question.
they heard him talking about the future, and they're like, "Nope, cut his mic. He's done."
Does Xbox sponsor this podcast? If they do, we're missing a check.
Yeah, I know.
am I
They're
back
watching
now?
at
Am I
least.
back?
We
Yeah,
can
you're
hear you.
back. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wasn't well. I didn't get kicked out, but yeah, damn Xbox. Yeah, I heard what you said. So, yeah, but yeah, are we really ready for an all digital future, which Xbox wants to bring? With Game Pass and just well, just companies in general, just pushing away from physical media. I mean, when you hear about outages like this, what does that do for you? Does this scare you for all digital future, or do you think it'll just be a little bumps in the roads like this?
We're always gonna have bumps in the road. I mean, internet infrastructure alone is one of those troublesome things that you can't really account for at the best of times, and companies have to do what they can to protect their IP. I mean, this probably wouldn't be an issue if humans were kind and nice and didn't do the wrong thing a lot of the time. But here we are. In terms of the Microsoft outage, was a server issue on their end that happened a couple of times over last weekend, I think, and that was the reason for it. The immediate question becomes, why did it require online when the game doesn't require it, which is probably the biggest one. There are games that definitely do use it, like Elden Ring, for example. It has an online component to it, and that may boot you. But for DRM stuff, like it has to be closely tied to piracy and authentication and all that stuff. There's not going to be a way for us to go backwards with how that stuff is progressing. Companies are going to look at the way that they can authenticate their users and potentially sell more products by using this and just keep using it.
Yeah.
Unless they're tracking something else and we've all got our unique citizen ID numbers with our country of residence, and they can tie all of our game purchases to that authentication method, and then we're going down a dystopian future track that is not showing the sarcasm I'm intending to display with this. But it's a hard thing, and it's definitely not going to change. It's not. They're not going to move away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be all digital future. Obviously, this generation or even the next one, maybe 2, 3 generations from now. I think when it comes to video games, I mean, I know we're already seeing it with movies and TV shows. Pretty much all digital. But I think video games is just a different monster. It's something not just sitting back and watching. Well, I guess unless you're watching someone play a game on Twitch or YouTube, but I mean, it's like an activity that you're actually doing. So I mean, that's a little different, you know. And it's just like, you know, you want to own the game that you play. I mean, at least I do. So, or if I don't want to own it, you know, just take it to GameStop, trade it in, take it somewhere, trade it in, and whatnot.
Well, I think that's why this was such a big issue for
Mm,
Xbox, is because Xbox is leaning to, that's what they do. They're very much like, we don't have to own the console. We want you to have Game Pass. We want you to play these free games, so to speak. And then yeah, we want you to, like, this is where you get your experiences, is very much Game Pass. And I think that's why it was a bigger issue when you have multiple when you have the servers go down multiple times over the course of 4 days, and you can't play those free games, and you can't play Game Pass, and you can't play all those other aspects. And Microsoft tried very much, last generation, where you had to have an online connection in order to play every game. That didn't go well with gamers, and we saw what happened. We saw that reception, but at the same time, it's heading that direction, just as
mm,
Matt alluded to a second ago. And yeah, it's not going to stop. But what I would say is, I would want developers to really think about, when providing games, at least physical copies of games, that making sure, if they are a single player game, that it has the ability to, not necessarily, not needing to ping a
mm.
server every half an hour or every day or whatever the case may be, because it, it's just the worst, like, when these games are unplayable, and it's so devastating that you purchased a product that you're leasing, I guess,
Yeah.
for a better sense of the word, but it's a single player game and you can't experience it. I had issues with this in the PS3. So like, there was like Devil May Cry, a single player game. I couldn't play that game because I needed to ping a server, or I needed an update, or and I have the physical copy, and it's just like, things like that are just like so aggravating. And that's, even if you have physical media, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to play these games. If you're
Yeah.
digital, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to play these games at this point. And that's why I really just want to lean on developers to ensure, like, if they could avoid it, then please do. I know there's all these numbers that you want. You want the data, you want to know what's going on with your games, and you want to be able to adjust and make changes. But at the same time, you don't want to do it in light of your clients or customers, or people that are purchasing or supporting your game.
No. Very, very well said, Finance. Very well said.
There is
But
a little bit more of the article that we're referring to here for this discussion, that there's a few Twitter accounts that have said that the DRM on the games that Xbox players had issues with don't exist on Sony and other platforms. So potentially, this is just a Microsoft thing,
Okay.
okay.
maybe not just a game developer thing. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's
maybe
so.
Microsoft needs to cover it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's just pertaining to them and their first party games, yeah, I mean, and that sounds. Yeah, I mean, just as long as it's not doing it all for all games, like third party games, indie games, whatnot. But I think the another big story here, aside from the DRM issue, is and I like to do this every time. Delay alert, delay alert. Yeah, so and this one really stings because it is Bethesda announcing that Starfield and Redfall have been delayed to the first half of 2023. So what does that mean? Is there any more first party IPs coming for Xbox in 2022? We'll just have to wait until June 12th, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's because yeah, they gotta announce. Yeah, June 12th. I think is going to be circled on a lot of Xbox users' radar because if they don't announce anything, I think this is really going to hurt them from a first party standpoint, or they better be bringing something great to Game Pass that can keep users engaged, because this holiday season is going to be a rough one for them, and that's just me. But
Well, June 12th, just to clarify, is the big showcase that they announced,
yeah,
where Microsoft is going to be talking about a bunch of stuff, and they know, and we're pretty sure that Starfield was going to be involved in that to some degree, which it still is. I think they've said that they'll bring some gameplay on June 12th, just so you can have a look. But yeah,
You think that still is going to happen?
definitely.
Okay.
maybe we'll see. We'll wait and see. I mean, never say never, but I'm not a believer right now, especially if it's getting delayed into 2023. That's just me. I mean, I think they
Oh, we lost him again.
It's good. We've got to stop talking shit about Microsoft, man. It's
All right, you're back. You're back.
yeah. I think you're back
I was
now.
just saying they need to pull a rabbit out of their hat if they want to save this year, at least from a first party standpoint. Otherwise, they're gonna have to be, giving away, quite a bit of something on Game Pass or something. Just it's this is a
Okay.
big blow.
Yes, everybody's been saying it's a big blow for Microsoft because their first party delivery for this year is not going to be good. But I don't think it's a big deal to them really, because Papa Phil has already been out there saying, "Look, we're taking care of our studios. We want to make sure that they're delivering the best product, and we don't want to put them out to do that." So yeah, we're giving them another year. We've talked about it. It's on the cards. We'll maybe give you a bit of June 12th, but that's it. We're
I don't
supportive of that.
know. I'm the opposite end. And Phil Spencer, he did put out a tweet. I actually have it here. It says, and quote, "These decisions are hard on teams making the games and our fans." Spencer said in a tweet sharing Bethesda's delay announcement, "While I fully support giving teams time to release these great games when they're ready, we hear the feedback." Um, and then there was more to that quote. Oh, here we go. "Delivering quality and consistency is expected. We will continue to work to better meet those expectations." Sorry, I'm like flipping through things as I'm trying to read that quote. But um,
That just reads
I
as a
think
power move, though. Like he's basically saying, no one wants to be treated badly. We're trying to do the right thing by them, but we're going to make sure you get what you want at the time that it's stated. Like he's doing proper dad stuff. That's sad.
he's doing proper dad stuff. But at the
Damage
same respect,
control.
I think, and it is damage control. But
Yeah.
at the same respect, we've been seeing Xbox for over a generation. We had the X and the S, or I'm sorry, was it the X and S? Yeah, the original X and S,
Mm.
or the Xbox One. I'm sorry,
Xbox
the
One,
Xbox One.
the One S, the One S, One
And
X.
yeah. So the Xbox One generation,
Mm.
and they were unable to deliver first party games. Only going into this generation, they've made several promises. Redfall was supposed to come out this summer, so that's even a bigger shock to
Yeah.
me than Starfield. But I think when I read that tweet, I mean, they've been failing. Like, they failed last year. We're going into this year. We had two big games that we were expecting from them, only to go halfway through the year and then find out they're delayed. And at this point, halfway through the year, we don't know what's happening. We didn't know what was happening last year. We knew Halo was coming out. Halo was delayed for a full year on top of that because there's not the consistency. The consistency hasn't been there. Of course they want to do what's best for their team and their developers, but at the same respect, they have to do what's best for us as their consumers. And you lose faith. Like, you lose faith in a company that promises and promises or over promises,
Mm.
and then they don't deliver. And at this point, we need Xbox to deliver. They still haven't. Halo's has had a significant drop off in terms of like player base. A lot of feedback
Yeah.
going towards that. I mean, and I know they don't want Redfall and Starfield to release in a state like Halo, or in a state that would be worse than Halo, like a Cyberpunk. I'm sorry. Do you want to pop in?
Nope, I was just waiting for the Cyberpunk
Oh,
to pop in there.
oh yeah. And it's just at the same respect, like it does affect the people that are supporting your console and supporting Game Pass, which does feed into the overall ecosystem of this. I myself, I canceled Game Pass
Mhm.
when I heard this announcement.
Oh,
There's no like the third party games are great, but that's essentially not why I'm there. I'm there.
yeah,
I was there. The third party games are great to hold me over until I get my Starfield and I get my Redfall and things and games of that nature. I played Halo. I played Flight Simulator, but I'm starting to have buyer's remorse
yeah.
with purchasing the console that I did
Oh,
because they
wow.
have not
You
been
are.
they haven't been able to deliver, and that's all I've been looking for. And going into this generation, it seemed like that was front and full center. They have a ton of developers, so I'm sure we're gonna get something this year. But and in terms of a marketing standpoint for any company, especially a video game company, you can't you we got we got very little. We got one game last year that was
Forza?
delayed for a year prior to that.
Oh,
Or we got two games
yeah,
last year at
Forza.
the tail end of last year,
Yeah.
and then but for the entire year up into that, we didn't get anything.
Mhm.
Nothing of, at least from the first party Xbox studios. So we waited off like a pretty much 2 years for that. And then going into this year, we don't know if we're going to get anything whatsoever. And I'm sure they'll have something to announce at the event that's coming up. But yeah, it's I don't think it's a good look for Xbox.
Yeah.
And they can't keep apologizing. You can only apologize so many times before people are just like, what am I doing? Like, why am I not just buying a PlayStation?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta call it the way I see it, and I'm with you, Finance. They've only released one successful first party game for their new console, and that's Forza Horizon 5, which is a very good game. But Halo came out like half done. Just wasn't fully complete in my eyes based on what I saw. So you get to the point where it's like yeah, why do you buy an Xbox? Do you just buy it just to play third party games, or do you eventually want to see what the company has first party? And I think most consumers, they want to see what they have to offer from the first party. So if I did buy the Xbox Series X or S, I would be mad. Just I gotta wait longer, and just I definitely would be having buyer's remorse, which is what you're having right now, Finance, and just I'm not surprised to hear that at all. So yeah, it's just if you have a Xbox Series X or S, I mean, I feel for you in terms if you're really
Do,
looking forward to these games.
do you guys think we'll see anything like if you had an expectation of like what could come out this year? Is there anything you guys could think of? There's one game that I can think of, but there's only one game that I could think of that might possibly come out this year.
Um,
Skyrim for PSVR 2.
no, I mean, if you go in the Xbox Studio, yeah, they could do maybe another Sea of Thieves game, or I don't know if they plan on
That's
bringing,
a platform. They're not bringing another one out.
yeah,
They
maybe,
would just update the one that they have.
yeah. So just I don't know, maybe a new Banjo Kazooie or something. I don't know, but Perfect Dark,
Haven't
but
seen much
I don't
from Rare
know.
lately.
Yeah, but
Perfect
I mean,
Dark might have some kind of announcement, but it's probably too close to the change in development for them to have anything substantial.
just
And then that studio had a whole bunch of trouble also.
and then Gear 6, I don't
So
see that coming anytime soon. Yeah, I
There
don't
was an
know.
inkling. There was an inkling of a remake of the old Gears of War titles in the same way that the Master Chief Collection came out. So that might get announced on June 12th.
Maybe. Okay. That'd be something.
Hellblade is the only one that I
Hellblade.
could possibly see being announced. Because at this point they've been working on Ninja Theory's been working on that game for what 4 years, 5 years. So
Last we saw was
Wow.
the Game Awards, right?
Yeah.
yep.
That'd be
So
the
that's
only
the
one.
only game
Maybe
that I could picturely see. Yep.
maybe Hellblade. Yeah, I mean, that'd be the only game I could think of at this point. Because right now, I mean, they got third party titles coming. I guess If it's if you're looking forward to Gotham Knights and you have it, that's a different story. But
Well, yeah, there's always going to be third parties,
so
but I'm
Saints
not.
Row?
Saints Row, yeah,
Oh, that's a third
They
party, isn't it?
yeah, it's third
yeah,
party. That's third party. Yeah, so
yeah, that's THQ
THQ Nordic.
Nordic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or the Embracer Group. Bum, bum, bum.
yeah.
Look, the just cycling back to it again, the idea of being monetarily and reputationally harmed by this is like having the console and not being able to play the games exclusive to that console. But I think Microsoft isn't as concerned with it because they're trying to push people to cloud stuff and having a more flexible platform,
yeah, but I mean, you can only
which
do
is
that so
interesting.
much. But I mean, I feel
It, it is, but when you're still manufacturing consoles,
Yes,
it's going to still.
it'll impact
It could
sales
cause.
for
Yeah,
sure.
it could impact. Yeah, for sure.
all right.
Yeah,
Well,
we'll get
and,
some
and
good stuff. There'll be something in there. There'll be
yeah,
something in June
Yeah,
12th that'll revive the
yeah.
players. They kind of have to,
it's
don't they?
just. Yeah, I mean, they just been promising for so long now. And they have the studios, which have only recently, be purchased. But
Mm.
we're still seeing those other games like the shooter game that came out last year, Death. No, is it Death? No,
Deathloop,
Deathloop.
Def-
Yes, thank you.
that will be announced for Game
Um,
Pass for sure.
Yeah, but was exclusive to Sony, so we're still seeing deals like that. We don't know what's happening with the Indiana Jones game. We don't know if that's going to be on Sony. We don't know if that's going to be on Xbox. There's a lot to be left to the imagination, and yeah, Xbox has just been promising for so long. And like last year, I was laughing from the other side, but now I'm on the side. Oh yeah, I'm right there with all these people that have that have been Xbox faithful all this time, and
yeah.
it's just like this
It's
sucks.
it's kind of
Like
it's kind of hard to stand up for him right now and like defend him.
yeah, like Halo, like dropped the ball. We were supposed to get co-op with that.
Yeah.
Still hasn't come out yet. It's been delayed. We're looking for Forge. Maps are taking forever. The season passes are 6 months between season passes, and I know the developer just put out a whole bunch, and they said they're going to work faster, harder, better. Da da da. More apologies, but
You can only apologize so much.
yeah, apologies don't mean
Yeah.
you know jack at the end of the day when you've apologized 20 times already. So
Any final thoughts before we go to the release rundown?
The only thing that troubles me internally, and this says nothing about the discussion we've had and anybody else who's thinking about their games in a similar way to what we just talked about, but I sometimes have a distinct problem as a consumer having a strong need to push companies to give me what I want faster than they can make it. And I think it only boils down internally for me, the idea that if Breville was going to make another toaster, I would happily wait for that toaster to come out. I mean, I want my 6-slice toaster more than anybody, but I'm not going to email Breville or start a podcast about toasters and say, hey, Breville, get your act together. I'm still taking 10 minutes to do 6 slices of bread. What's going on? But this is where video games are different. That there is, and I had a thought about it the other day when I was driving home from the gym as well, that it's one of the only mediums that has that infinite feedback loop where it's constantly, like, there is almost no other product that is as close to the consumer than video games is. It's one of those unique industries that does that. So
I
sorry, go ahead.
no, please. I have just some thoughts about what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I just want to speak to that. So I would say one is because I feel like video games are the only medium that are as secretive as they are. Like there's just something about video game companies and development that you just don't see the type of secrecy. Like not even with movies. Like movies, we're getting like consistent trailers. We're be shown a little bit more like throughout its life cycle, or at least like in its marketing cycle and things of that nature. But um, I just don't feel like it's as secretive. Like I feel like video games have its own realm of like where they just want to keep everything hidden until the time is. And at the same time, like I think that also feeds to the issue of where, since we don't get updates and we don't get content, or like not content, but we don't get like we do we're better than we were. But in terms of like developers receiving feedback and taking feedback in as they develop on the game and things of that nature. I think some companies are really great about that, but then there's like, still just a whole nother realm of developers and companies that really just want to zero in, keep everything outside, and work on the game, and then you know essentially release that information eventually. But that being said, the two issues I have with this article in particular are a little bit. One is going to be on the Batman end. We got a cancellation last minute. Redfall was supposed to come out summer, so we're talking about months away. The fact that you would wait till right before your conference, and you know, right before just everything.
Summer
You've
Games
known,
Fest.
yeah, Summer's Games Fest. Like you've known for a minute, like the game is not going to be ready in the next 3 months. And this just stems from like you shouldn't put a release date or a release timeline, especially in the way things are now, or you come out ahead of it. Don't wait till the last minute. Like, and that goes for anything. Like, I hate when people call me up and flake on me. Like, they're just like, hey, bro, like, I know we're supposed to meet in 20 minutes, but I can't make it. That is the worst. And I feel like it's just as bad from companies. And the other aspect is that with Bethesda, no one, when they were in the E3 stage or whatever showcase they were on 2 years ago, and they announced, when Todd Howard announced that, like, hey, we're gonna get that 11/11/22 release date, and the game's gonna be out. No one pressured them to say that. No, and as much as they believed it, this isn't their first day in the game industry. You have to just kind of put things in perspective and say, like, something could happen. We're developing a game. Let's not put a release date on it. Let's not put ourselves in a situation where we are going to have to disappoint people, where we're going to have to renege on everything that we said, and then delay it to a time that will be better suited for us to develop our dream. Don't put a time or date or season on your dream. If you want to develop it and take as much time as you need, but don't give us false hope in doing that. And I know there's a whole bunch of marketing and other things and aspects tied to that, but at the same time, you shoot yourself in the foot. It does harm the brand, and it does affect your image. And people do look through the same lenses that I'm looking through and look at this and say, like, seems kind of fishy, or they've lied to me one too many times. Because at a certain point, it becomes a lie. After you're told, like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, or my company's going to do this regardless, and it doesn't happen, it becomes a lie at that point. And some people just don't like being lied to. And I'm one of those people. So that's where I'm coming from. Sorry, I got all passionate.
Sorry. That's okay.
You were on a rant. You were on a rant, and we just knew. All right, yeah, he's on a rant. Yeah, let's just back off. Let him get everything out.
Consumers' healthy skepticism has to be present too. Like, you hate being lied to.
Yeah.
But surely some people had to look at that 11/11/22 and went, yeah, I don't know.
I was lied to. I mean, I hate to say it, but
yeah. I mean, we were all skeptical. I was skeptical, going into this year and everything also. But it wasn't just like one game. It was, and then there just hasn't been much transparency on Microsoft's end either, just in terms of, what's going on and stuff like that. So I think you can do a lot just by talking with your consumers, letting them know, and not waiting until like they're drooling from the mouths and skepticism as all the skepticism is faded away because you're at a point where anticipation is almost reality. And I think we've gotten to this point with Redfall, and I would say, I mean, we got pretty close with Starfield also. these games were supposed to come out in a matter of months, and they fell through. And yeah, I think disappointment is just the biggest thing in regards to. I think that just
Yeah.
a lot of people are disappointed. I'm disappointed, and but
I'm disappointed for you, man.
I think we're all understanding of the current state and the issue and things that are going on. We're all aware a pandemic is happening, shortages are happening, and everything. But there's for everyone, like you can only be told that so many times
Yeah.
before like you get upset or before like you just lose faith in everything and everyone.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, hopefully June 12th, just keep eye out on that showcase, and hopefully Microsoft will hopefully do something to try to make it up to the fans out there. That's the only thing we can do at this point. All right. I love your rant. It's finest and very passionate. It's the gamer in you. I definitely. All right. So we're gonna do the rundown real quick. 3 games coming out this week. 3 games. One of them I actually forgot on the show notes, but we'll go through them. Rangi Generation. I believe that's already out for the PC and the Switch. I believe it's coming to Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. Vampire the Masquerade, Swan Song, and that's pretty much coming to all platforms: the PS5 and 4, along with the Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And then we also got another game that I just saw here, Dolmen, which is coming to the PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and the PC. So uh, the 3 games. Any games anyone should pick up this week of the 3? Well, if you haven't played Rangi Generation, that's already on the Switch and PC, like I said. So Vampire the Masquerade or Dolmen.
I think after our current discussion, maybe the advice this week is to cool our wallets just a little bit. But look, there's nothing there that stands out to me particularly, I must say.
Yeah. Nothing here. I know you guys mentioned Vampire the Masquerade on another episode, a previous episode. So I don't know if it was delayed. It must have been delayed.
Might be some extra stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone checks out Dolmen, I mean, I'll try to check that out. I mean, not buy it, just see what's more about. But I mean, quite frankly, just nothing here that I would recommend because I just don't know enough about it. That's just me. Next week I think is we got a little more coming out toward the end of the month, so just be on the lookout for that. At any rate, if you guys any final thoughts before we close the show? Nope.
Don't do crimes.
Yeah. That
Throwback.
will do it. Thank you for watching or listening to episode 87 of the Game and Watch podcast. Be sure to check us all out on our social media platforms. For Finest Dabs, OVG, RView Gaming. For Matt the Educator.
Yo.
This is Justin. This is Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fools, saying so long. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Later.
Peace out.
See ya.